Hey guys, thank you so much for stopping by the garden today. We're just going to go over my succulents and just go over some watering tips. When to water. You know, we're getting into the springtime here in Florida. We're in zone 9B and these succulents are coming into their growing season. As you can see how big these have gotten. This is my little graptopetalum arrangement, which you can see since we repotted her, she's been growing really well. She's nice and watered, she's nice and full, filling out more and more with some more babies underneath there, as you can see where my finger's at. And that's what these guys do, they just push out babies and babies. So we'll have to transplant this little guy soon, but not yet. You know, we're still good, we're still really healthy. The leaves are nice and plump at the bottom, so we do not have to water. Now, a lot of these succulents have a coating on them, so touching them really is not good because you want to leave that coating on as much as you can. And you can see I have a coating on a lot of them, that white powdery coating, so that will end up coming off if you touch it too much. And it's just like a sun protector for them. But the only way to tell if your succulents really need water is to feel the bottom leaves. You know, feeling these bottom leaves are not going to affect this. Now, the reason why she's missing some of that foliage on it, you can see from where I sprayed her. You can see where she's missing that white stuff, that coating. But that's because of my neem oil. Now, I treat with neem oil to prevent scale, spider mites, aphids, all kinds of bugs throughout the garden that are really bad for your plants. You know, they start eating at your root system. So treating that soil and spraying your plants when you see first signs of scale and stuff like that. Scale is like little scabby stuff that you'll see sporadically underneath your leaves, usually on the bottom sides of them, which we have fixed because we've been spraying with that neem oil. Now this Crassula, this is a Crassula, this is an Echeveria, these are Echeverias, that's a little powder puff. As you can see, she's growing really good now from when she was inside. See how much she was stretching inside? See all that space between the leaf nodes? This type of succulent is supposed to be really compact, like the top is. You can see she wasn't stretching since I put her outside, and you can see how much she's grown. This little guy, this is my little purple one from a few months ago. You can see she has that coating missing too because I spray with neem oil, and I put her in a little terracotta pot. I'm gonna get a lot of these little pots, and I want to give you guys some good news. We're gonna be ordering a ton of more succulents. So I am getting into it. I am just gonna order a bunch of succulents here. I'm not gonna worry about moving. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. And the only way to feel, you know, the bigger your leaves are, the less water you're going to need. Now these are big and thin, so this is going to need more water than my jade succulent, which is down here. You can see this jade down here will kind of go on the bottom. This is my bottom cart, which I have a lot of plants on. You can see those jades in the back there on the left. They're really big leaves. You know, they're big and they're fat too. So they're not only big, but they're thick. So this requires, I only water this arrangement maybe once every 3 weeks, 2 weeks. Now that we're in the summer and this pot's drying out really fast, you can see, like, you know, you're not supposed to bend your jade leaves. So this is how plump we're supposed to be. You can see that little gnat, see them? We're having gnat problems here. So I've been keeping my apple cider vinegar jugs out. If you're having problems with gnats around your plants, you can go check that video out. We got rid of all the gnats in the house from that, and those require a little less water than the rest of these. Now, less water means less infrequent waterings. You know, infrequent waterings. It doesn't mean, you know, don't soak your pot down all the way through. For succulents that are well established, like these guys, especially like little babies and stuff like this, they're going to require a good soaking all the way down, all the way through, and then let that soil stay dry between the waterings a good few days to a week. And that's all going to depend. The only way to really truly get to know your succulents is to watch them, see how they're growing, see how much water they need. Now this leaf is so plump. I want to take it off. Ooh, we got a spider, see? That's why I spray. That's no good. We got like spider mites or something under there, kind of hanging out on my leaves. Oh, there's a spider on there. Not touching that one. I hate spiders, you guys. So we're gonna go ahead and take another leaf. I'll just go ahead and take another one for you. And you wanna squeeze that and make sure. Now you can see how this is so plump. There's nothing, you know, when you squish this, there's no darkness happening. So if you're squishing your leaves and this leaf feels like wet, it'll feel wet to the touch. That is like over watering. This is perfect watering for these California sunsets back here. You can see how thick and big these leaves are. So they require water. I literally only water that guy in that little soil maybe once every 3 weeks or so. It all depends, you guys. You're gonna have to feel your succulents and see how much water they need. Now these little sedum things, you can see where I had foliage coming off, okay? So if you are getting foliage coming off with the touch of a bump, you can see we fixed that. So none of this stuff is coming off anymore with the touch of a bump because we fixed the underwatering. It was very underwatered because our soil is starting to dry out quite a bit here, you can see. So I'm going to have to water all the way through more frequently so these stay nice and hydrated. You can see how healthy and bright they are. Just like these, they were starting to fall apart as well, and we fixed it. You know, we got this nice and plump. We planted in some nice good succulent soil, and no matter what succulent you have, you know, this is a little graptopedilum I cut and propagated. Those are the little babies growing off of it, getting really big now. You can see I cut that off because I just didn't like the way it was stretching. Now these graptopedilums are supposed to stretch like the one up there, but it was just stretching a little too much indoors, and that's why I brought it out here. And the only way to tell is to feel your bottom leaves. So she's plump. I don't need to give her a thing. Now we're going to go over my California sunsets because that's those that we just took a leaf off of. Now, those California sunsets were up here, okay? I had little babies we propagated. I've propagated a lot of these you see up here off of little leaves. So this was a little leaf, these were little leaves. That was a succulent when I got it. I had 3 in here. It's a little bear paw, which you can see starting to get little feet on it that look like feet with little pink tips, like brown tips. So we're looking good. This was a leaf. This was a leaf. All these were leaves. This was a leaf. That wasn't. These were all leaves. So it's pretty amazing what you can do off of a succulent leaf. Now, my leaves were falling off in here. So this little terracotta pot, you can see how much perlite's in here. Now that's really no good because the more perlite you have in hotter climates, you know, the less water these are going to be sucking up. So what I was noticing was, you know, I was watering, but they weren't getting adequate water. So see all these leaves that kind of fell apart on me from a succulent I had? That was a California sunset that was in here, which I had them all lined up here. And I'm going to put my echeverias in here because they're a lot happier with that amount of perlite. Now some might require less perlite than others. You kind of have to see which succulent is going to do okay with more perlite. I just go with a regular succulent, cacti, and citrus mix from Miracle Grow, and I put my own perlite in there. So I just mix a little more perlite. That's a Venus flytrap. That's not a succulent. But these are Black Knight babies we propagated, and we're good, you know. Same thing for these. They're different. They're Black Knights. They're still an echeveria. They're still a succulent. So as soon as these bottom leaves feel deflated, we can water. If we watered this and it's all the way full already, which you can see, these are really full, really plump. If we would go ahead and water these, they would totally just, you know, fall apart and wilt away to nothing because they'd be too overwatered. Now these were falling apart with the touch of a bump. Like literally, I was touching them and they were just coming apart. You can go back in that last video when we did that. You can see I lost another one right here. And this is the one that fell apart. See this? See that stem, which I'm going to let grow. I'm going to see if I can let some babies grow on that. That fell apart. Well, we fixed it because we took it out of that pot with all that perlite in it, put it in some nice regular succulent soil, straight out of that bag. I didn't add no perlite. I didn't add nothing else in here. And we're going to let these little babies rock out. Just got to fix him. He's kind of coming up a little bit. But we're going to let all these California sunset succulents jam out. And you can see we're not losing leaves by that touch anymore. So you can have underwatering when you touch them leaves and they're falling off. But you got to be pretty careful because if you're underwatering and you damage those roots, say those roots were dry for too long, your succulent's going to not be able to suck up water from those roots because they're too damaged. So what you should do is probably wait. You know, this little thing, you can see that's a different color. This fell off. So we're just starting to grow roots now, which are nice and white out of there. She's going to start sucking up some water. So I'm going to take her out because she's just not going to do good in here. But all these are lacking water. You can feel by the leaves. And they're going to, you know, just fall off with the touch of a bump. They will totally just dismantle themselves. And I don't want that to happen to you. So if you have a succulent that's struggling from underwatering, let it sit, let it grow some roots for a little while. You have to kind of take it out of the pot, inspect the roots. If the roots are dead, then you want to repot it in some nice succulent soil, let it sit after you repot, let it grow some roots, and then you know you're okay to go ahead and water again. Now if you're just getting underwatering and the roots aren't damaged, you see that the roots aren't damaged and you're not getting a bump, and your leaves are just kind of wrinkly, well then you can go ahead and soak your pot all the way through. You can see just how big this little echeveria arrangement has gotten. Look at this little thing from when we replanted it. Remember we did that video about a month ago? Look how much they've grown since then, because they're in their own pot and they're really happy, and we're doing the right waterings. You know, we're making sure we're not watering until we go ahead. Yes, this has a powdery coating, but the bottom leaves are going to fall off anyway. So touching the bottom leaves really don't make a difference. Now that's plump, so I don't need to water. And I wouldn't know that unless I touched the leaves. So now we're going to go ahead and water something. I want to show you how to water all the way through. Let me go grab my watering can. Alright you guys, so we're going to go ahead and just water a couple of these because a lot of these don't need water yet. It rained the last few days and they kind of had moisture from the air. But these little guys, you know, you can see that the little ones might need more frequent waterings than your bigger ones. So if you have little succulent babies that you're just propagating or they just got planted up together, you need to make sure they have plenty of water because the little babies are going to suck up and use up a lot more water than the bigger ones just because they don't have much of a storage place for the water. This little flapjack needs some water, so you want to water all the way through till it runs out of the bottom. Put a tray underneath, let it suck up that water for a good 5 minutes or so, and then you can discard any water in that tray, and you know you're good for your succulents for about a good week or so. Now that's all going to depend what kind of climate you guys have, how big that succulent is, how fast the soil is drying out. Is it raining? You know, is that soil all the way dry? Make sure it's all the way dry to that bottom and it stays dry for a few days between the waterings, just because I notice succulents do not like wet feet. So giving them that break in between the waterings really helps these guys to stay healthy. I hope you enjoyed this video and it just helps you to take care of your little babies as much as possible. I want to go over to this little table over here and show you my little propagations. Alright you guys, so this is like my propagation station / lanai table. Now I have a lot of succulents here I'm propagating. These kind of fell off with the bump on my trailing succulent, so we're rooting those. You can see they're just starting to plump back up, which they're doing good. We got these ghosties, which I transplanted, so little babies that were tiny babies from my pot here for my little succulent leaves. So I'm going to give you a little look-see. So you can see all my little babies here that are starting to get big. And we're going to be transplanting some of these because they really need it. Like this one right here, you know this is ready to be transplanted when you have a nice little root on it, and then this little leaf can just pop right off. See that? That's when you should be taking your succulent leaves off. Now we have a nice, healthy baby, which is going to require a little less water than these tiny ones because these already have a root system, have a leaf on them, and this doesn't anymore. So this really is solely by himself, and I'm going to make this another little Graptopedilum ghosty container, just like my other one over there. So it gets nice and big, it sprawls out, and if you're finding little beads like this yellow one right there in your succulent soil, that's fertilizer, you guys. Don't worry about that. It's not a bug. That is fertilizer, and you need that in your succulent soil to help these little guys grow. We're just going to go ahead and pluck some of these out, just like we did to this one. You can see we got a nice healthy root system, and we're going to plant them because we really want to make these flourish. You know, they're really big, they've gotten big, they've got their own root systems, they're not on a leaf anymore. So I'm going to take them out of my propagation tray, plant them up. I don't water this. After I transplant any succulent, I don't water for a good few days. So the little ones, I wait about a day or so, maybe 2 days, and then the bigger ones, like anything like, you know, this little guy or bigger, I'll wait 2 days to water, just because if I damaged any root systems on there, you know, they're going to get overwatered, they're going to rot. So you want to hold off on that watering when you just first transplant. I'm going to get a lot of these babies planted up and leave the other ones in here that are still really tiny. But your succulent little babies, now you want to be really careful when you're watering. So when you have a tray like this that's full with babies, you want to water all the way through to give them a really nice deep root system. So the more you water them all the way through, you can see how their roots stretch out towards the bottom and look for that water. See that nice healthy white root on there? That's what you want to look for, you guys. So we're going to do the same thing to these babies and just go ahead and pot them up right in here. If you guys need any help, let me know. I usually keep my babies in like a good 4 hours of sun, like a bright indirect sun. Not so much direct, a really bright indirect sun to begin with. And then when they get a little bigger, like those ghosties and stuff, or like my little babies down on this way, then you can go ahead and acclimate them in the full sun. You know, bring them out in 2 hours of that direct sun. Then you can switch them to the 4 hours of direct sun the next day, and then 6 hours the next day, and 8 hours the day after that. And then they'll be growing really big for you. You can see I got babies in here that are just taken off. So it's really important to adjust them on the certain times, to water when you need to water, and not to overdo it too much. These are very drought tolerant, especially when they're well established like these. And this little Echeveria, I only water maybe once every 2 weeks to 3 weeks. Especially here in the summertime, you know, they're going to be sucking up a little more water, so you're just going to have to acclimate to that. You know, you might have to water once every week, once every 2 weeks. You know, it all depends. I might have to water the ones in the smaller pot twice a week when we get into the heat of the summer. So it's all going to depend on what type of succulent you have, what type of pot it's in. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I really hope this helps you to take care of your succulents, no matter what type you're growing, whether it's regular cacti, regular succulents, just with watering, sunlight, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment below, hit that subscribe button if you want to stay updated for more to come. Right here from Stacy Here We Grow Again. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you next time out in the garden. Bye-bye.